And then finally, the main event on this program. I know you've been waiting for it, ladies and gentlemen. We were too. For the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championship. Because remember, Claudio and Felix had a match where the winner would get a shot at the other's title or whatever the f***. So Ring of Honor World title, Lucha Brothers, Felix and Penthouse against Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Useless. And at this point, they rang the bell. They had an immediate four-way. They exchanged some sloppy strikes. Then I counted approximately a dozen leg slaps on their kicks. Then they did a synchronized double dive. Then Penthouse dove off the top to the floor onto Claudio and Useless. Then they all stood there for Felix to jump back and forth from one rope to another for 30 seconds before diving off on all of them. And at that point, I said, I can't fucking do this. I cannot stomach this. And I fast forwarded 10 minutes till they were going into their finish. Did I miss anything before we cover the finish?
I don't think so.
Okay. So basically, they're having their match, and suddenly Claudio's on the floor, and he sees an opportunity to roll in and help old Wheeler. But the Buckaroos, Maddie and Nikki, come out from under the ring at that exact moment to hold Claudio's legs, while behind the referee's back, he's distracted by Alex, the helper and assistant of the Lucha Brothers. Felix and Penthouse go for their double team package pile driver / double foot stomp off the top finish that they do. The Buckaroos have Claudio's legs. He can't get in the ring. The referee's distracted. They pick this poor fucker up and mistime this move and go over sideways. And they held up from completely killing him. They dropped him on his head. Actually, not on his head. More precisely, they dropped him on the back of his neck, where his chin was folded up to his chest and all his weight was above him. So that's even worse, really, than being dropped on your head. And the guy doing the double stomp, if he hadn't gone over sideways just far enough, he would have stomped him after the other guy planted him. Did you see that fuck up?
I did.
Jesus Christ. Why do these guys let these motherfuckers, all of them, any of them, do this goofy shit to them? They're not in control of anything. So then, that was the finish. Nearly finished him. 1, 2, 3. And then here comes the rest of the BBC, and Plumber Moxley gets in the ring on the microphone, and he's pissed. And he said Sunday, the Buckaroos and their friends were going to get plastered on the pavement of Las Vegas Boulevard in the most violent match ever. If you're squeamish, if we've offended you up until now, then that's nothing yet. He promised blood. He got a goddamn in that they weren't able to catch and bleep. He's an insufferable, unprofessional, very ugly man.
Yeah.
And that was Plumber Moxley.
Plumber Moxley.
So that was the program. Any closing thoughts on that closing angle?
I mean, this is the go-home show to the pay-per-view. This is the biggest thing on the pay-per-view, I think, just based on who's in it and the things that haven't gotten over going into the pay-per-view. And it didn't feel like that hot a finish. It doesn't feel like the fans are totally into everything right now. This is in Vegas, same town as the pay-per-view, several days earlier. But it wasn't a big crowd. They're getting smaller and smaller crowds. You brought up earlier the idea that none of this that's happened over the last year has helped any of the top stars. It's hurt everyone. Yeah. The Bucks mean less today than they ever have, and than they have in the last 10 years, maybe. Omega, less than he has in a while. Punk, I don't think All Out gained Punk fans, but it may have lost him some fans. AEW, listen, as bad as all of these people look in various different points throughout this whole thing, AEW as an organization looks horrible. So, for everyone that thinks like this whole thing was a big work, to get to this point. No one benefited. No one really if the idea was we'll fool the world and we'll work the wrestling media and we'll come out on top, no one has benefited from this. And, now they're almost launching a new brand on Saturdays because of it. Going back to this match, I didn't care to see this match. Claudio and Wheeler are not going to hold me. They're not. Lucha Brothers, it really depends on who they're working with. And I figured they have to do something here at the end of the show because there is a pay-per-view coming up. Here's the other interesting thing. The Bucks come up from under the ring, right? Where did the BCC come from? They come from the back. I've never seen Moxley come out of the back before, ever. How come he could come out of the back when the Bucks are under the ring, but not when he has a match?
He dresses in the back, but then he goes all the way out in the parking lot on the other side of the building before he comes in to wrestle.
Nothing else to say about it. An underwhelming episode of Dynamite, and I think a lot of the problems in AEW, even with Punk returning, I think a lot of people who have ignored the problems for a long time, going back to the beginning, it's almost impossible to ignore them now, even with Wembley.